You're listening to the E2C Network, podcast by Auburn fans for Auburn fans. War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome back to Inside the Jungle, your source for Auburn men's basketball analysis and discussion here on the E2C Network. On this episode, we're going to be breaking down an Auburn Tigers loss, this time to the LSU Bayou Bengals down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The Tigers, the good Tigers, fall by the score of 80-104 on the road. That drops their overall record to 11-12 on the year, and the SEC record continues to fall to 5-9 on the year. We're going to talk about things going on in and around the program. Obviously, this game, there's not much we want to talk about from it, but we'll talk about it and look ahead to the next game coming up as well. To do that, I brought in my friend and my co-host, Mr. Gray Oldenburg. Gray, how does it feel to be back below 500 for the first time since the beginning of the season?
It's not good. It's not good, Kyle.
It is not. It was not a good week at all for many reasons, whether it was schedule, weather, everything in between, performances on the floor. In terms of like actual basketball, current roster stuff, not a good week for the Auburn Tigers. It's one that I'd like to forget, to be completely honest with you. I don't see a lot of things that we can take away from this game to be happy about. Before we get into all that, I do want to talk about stuff as we usually do in and around the program. And I actually forgot to mention this to you in pre-show discussions, but I saw a report today that, we've been talking a lot this season about Justin Powell and his injury. There's a report out today that he has not technically been ruled out for the rest of the year. And I don't know if I want to buy into that, to be honest with you. I feel like that's a lot of speculation to generate discussion by media outlets. But what are your feelings about that? I mean, do you think that there's a potential for him to return and back up at point guard? Or B, do you think that they should do that?
I don't think they should, just with the way this season has gone, and especially as of late. I think they were really careful with, whether it was a concussion, whether it was a head injury or neck injury or whatever. We continue to hope he's doing better, and we, as much as we want to see him back out on the floor, and we're very excited for his, future from, what we saw at the beginning of the year, I don't know if we should jump ahead and let him play for the rest of this 3-game stretch we got here.
So you've answered the should. Do you think that they would, though?
I don't think so.
I don't see a world where it makes sense, to be honest with you. Like, I get that the kid wants to get back up there and contribute, and I think there is room to contribute on this team right now. Poor Sharif Cooper can't, get much help for himself the last couple of games. And, there's a lot of circumstances around this game and this week that I think, I'm not trying to make excuses, but play into the performance of the team. But still, the point still stands that Justin Powell would provide a shot in the arm if he was 100%. I just don't know that the timing is right. I don't know that it's what's in Auburn's best interest and his best interest at this point in the season. But just some discussions and rumor mills out there that he has not technically been ruled out, but I wouldn't anticipate to see him anytime soon. Let's talk about some exciting news, though, and this is not necessarily about the program currently, but it's about stuff around it and current or former basketball players that are doing big things now. We all know about the basketball tournament that, we kind of got Auburn basketball fans energized last year with War Tampa, bringing in several Auburn players. They have fully embraced the Auburn family and want to surround their team and that organization around the Auburn family and kind of bring in more Auburn players. And they've been doing that. Not only did they add TJ Dunnins to the roster, but they have changed their name from War Tampa to War Ready. So there's a couple of things that I want to get your impressions on about this. First, let's analyze the name first. You moved from War Tampa to War Ready. What do you think about that, Gray?
I think it's great that they're embracing the Auburn family and the Auburn basketball organization and the Auburn former players and alumni. I think it's good for the program in general, meaning by keeping those players. Sometimes we lose track of those players, that don't go to the NBA or the G League or stuff like that. And this is a good chance for Auburn fans and the Auburn family to, get to see these guys play together one last time. Um, the name War Ready, I don't. Where does that come from? Like,
I think
like
it's an honest attempt to try to make it a little bit catchier because War Tampa, I mean, honestly, War Tampa was so unique. Like at first it doesn't make sense, but it's like I'm used to saying it now that kind of flowed off the tongue.
Yeah.
I like the way you opened up with your answers. Like, I love that they're embracing it. I just don't know about the execution thus far in terms of marketing and things like that. I think there are better ways. And I'm not saying I have an idea right here off the top of my head. War Ready, though, I don't know, kind of gets people fired up. I was more fired up for War Tampa than anything like that. And I get with them embracing this, you kind of want to maybe remove the Tampa, location or the idea of it away from the name. But I think they could have called them the Plainsmen or, something like that. I think that would have fired a lot of people up. War is a big kind of energizing word to use in there. But I just don't know what I would do in its place. Do you have any ideas?
I couldn't tell you.
I put you on the spot to be creative.
Yes, you did.
But I don't think that it was probably the best thing out there. But hey, I'm just glad that they're embracing this, and specifically with adding TJ Dunnins now. He was a fan favorite and one of the beginnings of kind of restarting this program with Bruce Pearl. What do you think about adding him?
That's a great ad. I used to love watching TJ Dunnins. Not only did they add TJ Dunnins, but they got Simeon Bowers as well. Your favorite point guard.
How did I forget about Sinindrum? How did I forget about him?
Your favorite point guard in Auburn basketball history is on War Ready.
Surely he has some eligibility to come back and play point guard. I can't even believe that I forgot about that. I mean, if that's not enough to fire you up to watch this summer, I don't know what I can do for you, like personally. Like, you need help if you can't get fired up to watch Sinindrum, as I call him, because he's a conundrum, and Simeon Bowers, I'll explain it again. But yeah, I'm really excited for what they're doing with this. And I believe we've also got LaRon Smith, Deshaun Murray, and Danjel Purifoy. I think that's the lineup so far, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
I believe so, with many more additions to come.
Yeah, that they keep alluding to that. And so this is going to be something that I think it's going to be great for a time where, Auburn sports dies off, because obviously the semesters are ending. The only, baseball and softball, if you go to the postseason, tend to stretch a little bit further into the summer. But even that kind of loses some of its steam, especially if they're not going to keep moving on. So I think this will be a good thing to keep the Auburn family energized in the summer, especially with them fully embracing the Auburn family. We just need to work on that name.
Yep.
Just a little bit.
I think so, yeah.
Maybe we'll come out with some suggestions and offer those up in the future. Let's start moving towards discussing this game. But to do that, we have to actually address the lead up to it. Auburn actually did not even play one game that they were supposed to play earlier this week, and that was against Mississippi State. It was originally postponed. And I'll be honest with you, when I saw the postponement, I immediately thought COVID-19. Did you think that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then we all forgot that, there's this giant storm going on in Texas, in the Midwest, that area.
Yeah.
But, so they got moved, and it got moved to Thursday, and then it got moved again because things continue to get worse in Texas. Poor little Texas. I mean, and I guess Mississippi and Louisiana, and then even some other areas just in the surrounding, they just got torched by this storm, and it canceled this game. And I don't know about you, Gray, but I got to think that this altering of schedules really affected this team in the game leading up to it.
I think so. I think it did. I think it affected the execution and the effort out there for Auburn and LSU. But LSU is the better basketball team right now, and it showed.
And here's the thing, too. I think Coach Pearl in his post-game discussion, he talked about his disappointment for a lot of different things. But one thing that stuck out to me, and I kind of tilted my head to the side, and was like, wait, what do you he said he was disappointed in the preration. I was like, isn't that your job, Coach? Yeah. Make sure they're prepared. Granted, he can put them in a position to be prepared, but they have to go through the preparation and things like that. So it seems like that might have been the case with him bringing that up in post-game comments, that they were not as focused as they were. And some of that, you kind of give them a benefit of the doubt for with what was going on in the world and the whole changing of schedules and things like that. But the mindset clearly was not ready to play basketball on the road in Baton Rouge against one of the best teams in the SEC right now. They're not the best, but they are one of the best at this point. So I don't believe we're going to make up this Mississippi State game. Is that correct?
Yes, I don't think so.
And that's a shame because I think that was one of the last games that we were going to have that was going to be still a competitive game, but I think Auburn would have been in a better position to win that game. And I think it's one that they really could have used to kind of start what was going to be a very tough game or tough stretch for Auburn, starting with LSU. So let me just shape this for everybody at home. This was supposed to be the easy part of it.
Yes. Yes.
LSU was the beginning of the bad stuff, and this is how we started off with it. So why don't we just kind of jump right into it? We don't have a lot of notes about that, just some general thoughts, but what did you think about the Auburn LSU game overall?
This is an Auburn team that obviously is struggling defensively. LSU is just, you said it in your little intro there. They are not the best, but one of the best teams in the SEC, and they are the best offensive team in the SEC. And it really showed. It really showed offensively tonight for LSU with their stud freshmen going for 27. Them shooting 53% from the field, 50% from the 3-point arc. Out rebounding us. It's a good basketball team that Auburn ran into.
Can we just agree that not only is this bad enough in itself, but it just compounds that you lost to Will Wade? He's got to be the most hated.
Never be allowed to ever coach a basketball game ever again.
Do you consider him the most hated coach in the SEC right now?
I can't think of another one that I would hate more. I would say Calipari, but I don't have a specific reason to hate Calipari. If you count one of Calipari's assistants, then yes.
Fair point on that one. I was also like, I want to hate Calipari this year. It's just because it's easy to hate Kentucky, but I feel bad for him. Is this what is this world we're living in where
we're feeling bad for Kentucky?
Yeah, where Kentucky and Auburn, the two premier teams in the league last year, are now obviously in the bottom, but we feel bad for Kentucky. What is this, football or something?
This is bad.
Hey Auburn family, we're going to take a quick breather from this episode to bring you an important message. One of the most well-known things about Auburn fans is how loyal they are, and we show that loyalty by the colors that we wear. Let us help you stock up on those colors by going over to our tpublic.com store. There you'll find a variety of merchandise geared towards designs based on E2C Network and Auburn content. While TeePublic is known for their t-shirts, they have a wide selection of merchandise options for you to select one of these designs to be put on. They also have other types of apparel, stickers, mugs, and much more. Here's the beauty of it. Your purchase will help support this network and the content that we regularly produce. The purchase will also go to support independent artists who put a lot of hard work into designing these concepts, especially for you, the Auburn family. And did I mention that they regularly have sales? T-shirts for $13? You have to be kidding me. If you're ready to explore your purchase options, head on over to tpublic.com/store/E2C Network. You can also get there by going to our website at e2cnetwork.com/support. Now that you've got some options to suit up for game day, let's head back into this episode.
They lose in fine fashion, 104-80. And honestly, it could have been a lot worse if it had not been for one Sharif Cooper, who almost matches his career high in his short time here at Auburn with 26 points overall. Here's the rest of his stat line. 9-17 overall from his field goal percentage. He was 0 for 4 from the three-point arc, 8 of 9 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, only 2 assists, and he also had 6 turnovers. So while that 26 points looks very nice for Sharif Cooper, there's some, concerns about some of the other areas. So what did you think overall about Sharif?
Yeah, I saw Sharif try and be a little selfish, which was good at times. Him scoring 26 points is great, but trying to do a little too much at times, which led to 6 turnovers and led to 3 fouls with it led to 0 for 4 from 3. But at times like this and in a game like this, when you're playing in a team you're shooting 50% from 3-point range, you got to figure out a way to put the ball in the basket. And I think Sharif did well in putting it on himself to put the ball in the basket.
I think that the best players, they have a touch of selfishness, just a touch, where they understand at points that I have to take the game over and put this on my shoulders to get the team going in the right direction, and then, you know, settle back down and kind of just do the things that you're supposed to do on a normal basis.
Jared Harper is a perfect example of that.
Absolutely.
He used to take games over at the end of games, and we used to be like, well, where's that the whole game?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do that the whole game, you're going to score 60.
I think I gotta honestly feel bad for Sharif, because I think he's come into this situation where he gave Auburn such a shot in the arm, and so he obviously knows how important of a role he is in here. And then when he's seeing the other players on the team struggle in some areas, and, you know, differing ones at different times, he kind of feels this way, and it's just like, if I don't produce, then this team is going to suffer even more. And then now putting him in some situations he probably shouldn't be doing right now. We've seen a lot more of him driving into the lane and maybe putting himself in positions that he shouldn't be and getting some block shots and things like that. So, you know, I feel bad for him. I would like to see him make some better decisions, kind of understand that players are keying off of that, expecting him to do that, and to find a better way to get the rest of the team involved. And on the flip side of that, we've got to have not just, we talked a lot about bench production this year. We've got to have a starter be more consistent with him. Really two starters. So who do you think needs to step up more out of the starting lineup?
Right now, I think it needs to be Allen Flanagan and JT Thor. Both of those guys were in double digits today. I don't think they were in double digits very good. Like, Flanagan hit 2 threes late to kind of put him up there. And then Thor, you know, he made 6 free throws, which led to 10 points. But those two need to step up. Allen Flanagan really struggling with turnovers as of recent. You know, he only had 1, you know, in this LSU game, but he, you know, struggling offensively as of recent games. And JT, you know, had a great game against Kentucky. You know, I think he really got hit the most with this cancellation of the Mississippi State game because of how much momentum he had after the Kentucky loss.
Oh, I can't imagine the hype level that he was at after that game, and then just to kind of like, okay, I got to postpone this, or this game is rescheduled, and then it's completely postponed. And so now it's a whole week where I was on this high, and now I've got to figure out how to kind of rechannel all that energy I have. And it was probably quite a disappointment. You know, I think Allen Flanagan is also someone we expect a lot more from. I mean, 13 points tonight. He's the second leading scorer, far behind Sharif Cooper, who doubled up him on points. I think, honestly, Sharif and Allen are on opposite trajectories right now, where Allen was the guy and being able to put the team on his back and wasn't forcing things, just with doing what came naturally to him. Now he's stopped trying to force some things and maybe forcing some things that he normally wouldn't, kind of putting him in situations where he's going to have a low probability of scoring. So it's kind of interesting to watch that dynamic change. And I'd like to see him get it figured out before the season in here. There's a short season left. But, you know, honestly, what do you think about Jalen Williams? Only 4 points tonight. I've kind of been not disappointed, but wanted to see more from him.
Yeah, I agree. You know, he only played 22 minutes, you know, which is a tie for the least out of all the starters, except for Cambridge, who was in foul trouble. You know, Jalen is a guy that he's always kind of seemed like he's either – you know, he's either going to go for 22 and 7 or he's going to go for 4 and 2. And I guess we just got to build consistency with him. And, you know, Flanagan and Cambridge and Jamal Johnson, those guys are guys that played a good amount last year when we had those 5 seniors, and we're going to go on a run in late March before COVID hit. Jalen really wasn't. Jalen wasn't playing as much until really late in that year when he kind of hit on the scene. I think Jalen just needs to build consistency, and you know, he's got great talent. He's purely talented, and he could play with anybody out on the floor if he's not the best player out on the floor. Overall wise, he just needs to build consistency, build confidence, and get ready for next year.
Well, we spent a lot of time here critiquing some players. We do need to give a shout out where it's due. Javon Franklin, a guy that at times we question, was he, you know, losing more and more of his time. And we often said that about Chris Moore at times too, but both of them have, found moments where they've risen to the occasion. Javon Franklin tonight, 6 points. He's 4 for 4 from the free throw line. He's our leading rebounder. Now, as a team, that's concerning for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But 7 rebounds is pretty good night for him in only 15 minutes of play. So, from an individual standpoint, very happy for him and glad to see him take advantage of opportunities. And this is the time. If you're a bench player, you need to see that the team is struggling
right now.
What can I do to seize, not just as an individual, opportunities for myself, but to make this team better? And so I think that's what I'm most impressed by, a Chris Moore, a Javon Franklin. I love Babatunde Akingbola. I love saying his name, and I'm surprised that I don't trip over it all the time. He is a guy that I really would like to see step up because we need his length out there and him to have more significant minutes. But we'll see what keeps happening there. Each of those last 2 guys have risen to the occasion at some point. There's 3 games left. Maybe he'll do that the same. Before we kind of move away from this game, because like we said, it's not super fun to talk about it. We got to give credit to LSU, 53% from the field. How about that?
My goodness.
That was incredible. So I don't know how you win a game when they shoot 53% of the field. And here's the other one, 50% from the 3-point arc. I mean, is there a game that you can think of where a team has won against a team shooting like that?
No, especially not on their home floor against a team like that has talent like LSU does. Like, you can think of like a 14 seed beating a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament because they shot the lights out. But like, you got a team like LSU that's big and talented and good on their home floor shooting that way. It wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, and the other area that they definitely won was total rebounds, 39 for Auburn, 47 for LSU overall, and that margin was a lot bigger in the first half and could have gotten much worse. The Auburn actually gained some ground back towards that to make it not look so bad. So between their hot shooting at home and the rebounds at home, it really wasn't, even though Auburn didn't play well, the fact that LSU played so good, it just made it for like the worst possible scenario with the schedule change and everything. So really just not a good week for Auburn, the program currently at this moment. Yeah. But there are 3 games left, as I already said several times, to make amends. The problem is they're pretty dang tough. Yeah. Arguably the best teams in the land. The next one we're going to see, Florida. How does that make you feel, Gray?
Not particularly well. This is a tough 3-game stretch. It's a 4-game stretch, and we've already been hit with 104 points on the road. But this is a Florida team that's real similar. They're going to come out and they're going to shoot well, and they're well coached, and we're going to have to bring our A game.
Where I would probably put Florida right now is they are just below the top of the SEC.
Yeah.
They are up there in the top third. They're 11-6 in the year, 7-5 in the SEC currently. They've beaten a lot of good teams. One on the road in number 11, West Virginia. They also beat number 6 at the time, Tennessee at home, and have beaten LSU. So they've got a fairly good resume, but they've also lost to some teams they definitely shouldn't have lost. I believe it was at home to South Carolina, which was a bit of a shock. They're coming off a win over Georgia, 70-63, which is a bit close. Georgia's actually kind of been surging a little bit, and it seems like Auburn propelled them to start doing a little bit better and making closer games of things. Of course, it's just the story of being an Auburn fan, right? Yeah. We make everybody else look good. Don't know what that is. But the game will be this Tuesday, the 23rd of February. You can watch it on ESPN. And just a note, it has been moved up. Now, did we get a word about why that was? Was it a COVID thing or was it something else?
I have no idea. I just saw that it was moved up, and I was happy with it.
I am too, because, we don't have to stay up as late talking about things. But I would like no more schedule changes the rest of the year. 3 games left. Surely we can make it no more schedules changes.
Oh, knock on wood.
Yeah, here I am over here on the counter and just nodding right now. This is going to be a tough one for Auburn to win. It's only going to get harder after this point. We said this last 4-game stretch was really, really rough for Auburn, and Florida is not going to be a team, even though it's at home, that you want to take lightly going forward. So that's all we have for you in this edition of Inside the Jungle. Before we get out of here, though, Gray, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, find me on Twitter at Gray Oldenburg, or find me on Instagram at Gray021.
And you can find me on Twitter at TigerEye24. And until we talk to you again, War Eagle.
Before you get out of here, we want to remind you of a couple of things. Head over to e2cnetwork.com, our website where you can find everything that you'll ever need from us, podcasts, blogs, and even ways to help support the show. If you want to find individual episodes, you can download all of these on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So until we see you again, I want to remind you of one thing, that here at the network, we believe in Auburn and love it. The only question remains, do you?